I've been around long enough that this is now my third official go-around of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in the WWE.
Dude, and I'm not mad at it.
No, not at all.
Crazy ending to Monday Night Raw, and it looks like that's more than likely what we're going to get. And I hope it's not just for Elimination Chamber. I hope they ride this one out and make that a WrestleMania match, because, I mean, I think it would be a wonderful WrestleMania match.
Oh, yeah. You're talking two guys that could literally probably wrestle each other in their sleep, in full REM cycle. And
I bet they don't even talk. I bet they don't talk during a match.
No, probably
not. I know when he does this, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure there's all the standard like move sets and stuff that they'll utilize, but I think there's so much trust and knowledge in each other's abilities that even if you are going to go off script out of the normal dance, I still don't think there's a problem.
Yeah, I think so too. I wonder what this does. I mean, because it kind of led me to believe that they did that on Monday, the way they ended with Kevin hitting Sami, hitting CM Punk and knocking him out of the ring after he shook Sami's hand after winning the qualifying match for Elimination Chamber. I wonder if it incorporates all three of them, if that ends up just setting up some beef for later on between CM Punk and Sami Zayn, or if that is incorporated into their match. I hope it. I'm not a big fan of three-way matches. I would rather it just be the beef between the two. And I love that if there's beef between Sami and CM Punk that they pick up on later, which seems like more of the storyline of WWE more recently, is that they'll drop a little nugget here and pick it back up a little bit later on because it makes sense at the right time. And then it goes away for a minute and comes back. I mean, look how long we waited for CM Punk and Seth Rollins.
Yep. And what was going through my mind as you were saying that was something very similar to what you were saying, that this new era under Paul Levesque, he's not afraid just to do stuff, gauge the reaction, and let it ride. So hypothetically, in this exact scenario, we're likely going to Kevin and Sami. That's great. We're not mad about it. Well, let's have Sami push CM Punk.
Yeah.
If we get something out of it, great. If not, nobody will think twice about it because it was Kevin that did it.
Well, and logically, I would think that CM Punk would watch it back and realize that it wasn't Sami hitting him. That's my logic, but then I'm also kind of trained to not follow your logic and follow storylines.
Well, and you're right. There has always been this suspension of belief in wrestling. It's like, wait, they came out from behind the LED wall at the same place 60 seconds apart. Why were they not fighting back there?
Yeah, exactly. Why not? And when they do start fighting back there and it comes out, it's like, oh, yeah, of course. You must just ran into each other in Guerrilla and started the fight early. It makes so much sense to me. Royal Rumble, just off the top, grading it A to F.
It's a solid A for me. I won't give it an A+. Won't give it an A+.
Solid A.
Solid.
There'll be a few things that I think we may even pick up on here in the podcast today that'll reveal why there's not a plus in front of that. First, let's talk about Jey Uso. Congratulations to this dude going to WrestleMania 41. Who is he going to challenge for a title? I mean, everything points, especially after the press conference and even Monday Night Raw, that he's going to end up going against Gunther. But I mean, he says, I'm going over to SmackDown and I'm going to talk to Cody and see what happens there. And then we'll come back and we'll talk and we'll find out. I mean, I think if he picks Cody, I think to me that it kind of just, it's an unspoken, him not saying that I just can't beat Gunther, because he did lose to him at Saturday night's main event. Picking Cody doesn't make sense to me. Picking Gunther definitely does. You feel the same way?
No. I am super happy with the Jey Uso win. I think it's deserved. I think he's super hot right now. I think it would have been a mistake to not do it.
Right.
The path to get here, I admit I don't quite understand. He wins most of the time. He's got a good win-loss record. Having Gunther beat him just a few weeks ago, I understand conceptually the thought of him losing, booking him the WrestleMania road, and then that redemption. I get that.
It's Cody from a year ago.
Right. Yeah. It's not landing for me with Jey and Gunther because of that loss. To me, I feel like he lost and then won the Rumble in kind of a triumphant fashion. It wasn't like by the skin of his teeth.
Right.
And so I just feel like that was kind of a blow to the momentum. Like, it would have been better to not have him in that program, book him strong week in and week out, even a few random pay-per-view matches, and then him going into Rumble and winning feels like it was that arc that we needed. With him having just lost to Gunther, yes, it makes sense that he would face him again after winning the Rumble, but I just feel like there's some momentum lost there. But then to address the other side of what you said, I don't know that a Jey and Cody match makes sense in any universe right now.
I don't think it does either.
Who do you book over? You have two monster baby faces that you're going to hurt both of them if that match goes through, unless you turn Cody heel, which we know it's not time for that yet.
Or is it? We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. I have that on my notes. But, so while we were watching the Royal Rumble and it got down to Jey and CM Punk, Cena, before they made it outside of the ring there on the apron, I text you and I said, Jay's going over. Mm-hmm. Jay's winning. And then I told you I would tell you later why I said that when I did. Mm-hmm. And it involves social media. And not because somebody else said that they thought that he was going to, or that I was delayed and they were seeing it live. No, it was because of Jay's father. Rikishi went live. And simply because he went live, I went, oh, he knows Jay's winning. Because he hadn't been live the rest of the night. That was the first time that he went live. And I went, well, why would you go live to show your son losing?
Yeah.
Rikishi, if this makes it to your phone, you might think about that. Either do the whole thing or don't do anything until it's over.
Yeah.
That made me think, oh, yeah, his dad's on right now. Of course he's winning. He knows.
Well, you called it. I think that's the beautiful mystery of wrestling, because it's funny. I read a dirt sheet headline that said that Rikishi didn't know. But at the same time, it's like, well,
why would you tell somebody you did know?
Yeah. So anyway, all that to say, I think it was masterfully done.
I think so.
And we have other things that we're going to get into the show that I know from the run a show or whatever, but I don't want to jump too far ahead. But Cena and Jey, and there's very few situations that I walk away from wrestling and go, I have no notes. and the ending segment with Cena and Jey, the thing that I haven't liked about Rumbles in the past is I feel like they've kind of insulted our intelligence, where it's always the reversal and throw the head, over the top rope. That's always the way it ends. Yeah. And so it was very refreshing to me to have that exchange happen on the outside, the emotion, the drama from Cena, everything, pure cinema.
Yeah. I love how simple it was. The actual elimination. They're both on the outside. And as you notice, the audible gasp from the crowd when Cena grabs the second rope and has one foot on the apron, and you hear everybody gasp. And that's not even how he was eliminated. I mean, literally, it was about somebody going back into the ring instead of somebody being thrown out of the ring. And when the person went back into the ring, it was and he didn't hit him. All he did was push him.
Yep.
That was it.
And the other part about it is they did smart storytelling from that moment on the outside on, because if you go back and watch, something that I noticed is that both guys tried to get back into the ring and the other guy stopped them.
Yep.
And so there was this very tangible storytelling of like, oh, they're going to go back in the ring. Oh no, they just try. Oh my God, we're here. This is it. This is it.
And this is only about 8 inches. I think it's 8 or 10 inches on the outside there.
Yep. And so it was just so incredibly well done. And man, just so happy with it.
Agreed. Congratulations to Jey Uso. Now, speaking of John Cena lost, and I feel like his attitude changed. Yeah. When he said he was coming back to do one more year, I thought John Cena was going to be a part of WWE all year long. And he's just making appearances here and there. When he said, I'm going to go to, St. Louis, and that's the last time I'm going to be in St. Louis, and I'm going to go to Oklahoma City, and that's the last time I'm going to be in WWE in Oklahoma City. I haven't seen him on anything. And in fact, he finishes this PLE, will not be seen again until the next PLE. Now, it is only a month, but he's going back to shoot movies in all of this. And I love that he's taken that time to come back and do some shots, which wasn't what he was able to do over the past few years. It was like a one-off or a two-off for the entire year. At least it's a few, but I honestly was led to believe he was going to be here for the biggest part. And maybe he will. Maybe from the time, we get to WrestleMania or a little bit before, we'll start seeing more John Cena as he finishes up projects here and there. But I kind of thought it would have already started. In fact, here we are already in getting close to the middle of February already, and we've seen him 2 times. Is at the very first Raw, and we see him again at Royal Rumble. I think that is it so far. And I thought his attitude changed after that as well, because he took no questions from the press, no questions from anybody, sat down and made a statement. And something in particular that he said, one, he put himself in the Elimination Chamber match. And number 2, best for business. Where have we heard that line before? Mm-hmm. Very interesting. I wonder if he's not picking back up some old things and taking us through the journey of John Cena in WWE in 1 year. If he comes out and says that he just has ruthless aggression, where we are.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of really good points you just made. For me, I view it as, I think Mania is the shifting point for his year with WWE. I personally believe that if they put Cena in a championship match, he is going to win. I hope, as a fan, I hope they don't make us live with that disappointment of him being right there. And maybe they'll mess with us. Maybe it's not going to happen at Mania or something. Maybe it's going to happen later in the year. I don't know. All of that to say, I think that once we hit Mania, I think we're going to see full-time Cena. I think this beginning of the year, as all the storylines are ramping up and we're getting into Mania season, I think all parties involved knew that, hey, there's a little bit of time here at the front of the year. I've got this project. Let me do this. And then pretty much after Elimination Chamber, I'm probably in it to win it. So that's my assumption. As anybody who watches this show knows, I'm not plugged in with anybody. I got nobody's phone number. So that's just a guess from my part. I don't think you would put that much marketing steam behind it and the major headlines if he's just going to come out once a month.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought that was odd. But here's the deal. He says that this is all what's best for business, that I go to WrestleMania, that I do this, that I do that. This is all best for business. What if he doesn't win? What if we do get that disappointment? But the story makes sense as we move towards that. Or 2, what if it's a complete swerve and it is a world championship match and he does win it? It's just not a WWE championship match.
Good thoughts, Ant. Good thoughts.
Do you believe? Charlotte winning. Why is she so polarizing? I was thinking about this because I have my personal beliefs and personal feelings about Charlotte, and I'll throw them out here up front. They can be what they are, just my opinion. I don't think she's it. I don't think she's the best in the world. I don't think she is the GOAT of women's wrestling. I don't think she is everything that the press has made her to be. When you have to continually go to battle with your listeners or with fans all the time that say she's not, you're kind of proving the point. You don't have to convince somebody that somebody is somebody. You don't have to convince me that The Rock is a star. You don't have to convince me that Triple H was a star. All I hear is a bunch of stuff about Charlotte, and I see very little that actually makes her any better than anybody else in that locker room. She's not great on the mic. She's not excellent in the ring. Now, I'm not saying that's something I could do. I'm not comparing her to me. I'm comparing her to other women lady superstars in WWE or outside of WWE. I think that there are a lot of other people that are better than Charlotte Flair. There you go. That's it. What do you think about it? She wins the Royal Rumble, 1 match back after like 17 or 18 months gone. And then she comes on Monday Night Raw and the whole place boos her.
Yeah. So got to contextualize everything, always starting with this. What I'm about to say, and I know this is the same for you, I'm talking about Charlotte Flair, the character.
Bingo.
I'm not talking about Ashley Fleer or whatever her real name is or something like that. I know she's a nice person. This is nothing to do with her. This is what I'm about to say is about a team of people who decided this was a direction to go with a character. Charlotte to me is like 2015 Roman Reigns.
Okay.
She has been for her entire career been shoved down our throats to a point that it's uncomfortable. And I don't even think that that's the present regime's fault. Now, it does appear that the current regime is making the same mistake, but look at accolades. So if you took accolades of the main roster, your A-list people, and you averaged them all out, Charlotte Flair has double the achievements of everybody else.
Yes, she does.
That's not a good thing.
Right.
Because it diminishes your other stars, and maybe she's in the twilight of her career. She's got lots of miles left on her, but what is there for her to do? She's at something like 13 world championships.
Right.
That's more than Triple H. That's more than The Undertaker. That's more than Shawn Michaels. Like, bleep me if you have to, but what the hell are we doing? So all that said and done, the worst thing that we could have possibly done was her come back, get the Nepo baby treatment, and get thrust into the main event. I'm not here for it. I'm just going to be honest. And again, it has nothing to do with her as a person. If she were to be watching this right now, I would look at her and say, this ain't your fault. You're not going to prevent yourself from going over. That's dumb. Okay. But I think from the writing side of it, I think there should have been a little more looking to say, why not Roxanne Perez?
Yeah.
I really thought, why not Jordan Grace?
I think that they have a lot of stock in Roxanne Perez because she was the final. There's a reason she was the final person in there with Charlotte. They believe in her. Yeah. Not like they do in Joe Hendry, but still, the whole deal. Everything you said is accurate, and I think what is interesting about it is why you would continue shoving her down our throat when it's not the same heat and not the same booze that you get with Dominic Mysterio.
Nope.
That's a fun boo.
Yep.
This is a different one. And I think thinking through it while you're talking, my biggest thing is I've never seen her as a character, to your point, struggle. We've never felt like she's had to struggle to get to where she is. Everyone who has been a star has struggled in one way or the other. They've clawed and fought their way to the top. Some people who are just now, that are already in their 40s, are just now getting a shot. LA Knight is hitting
Sami Zayn.
Absolutely. All those guys. And let's be honest. Those things like, that's how CM Punk made a name. I have struggled. I lived a straight edge life. I'm not going to do drugs and alcohol, and I don't have a mom and dad, and I live on the street, or whatever his story was back in the early 2000s. It was felt. There's nothing to identify with Charlotte Flair except for Brad. Yep. That's the idea I get from her. I don't feel that she is as confident as her father was. The way her father lived and portrayed that he lived on TV, I've truly believed he lived that way because he lived that way. There wasn't another option. I don't know who she is, except that she's Ric Flair's daughter and that she's won a lot of titles. But I didn't see it and think, yeah, man, she struggled and fought her way here. She deserves this opportunity. And by God, she grabbed that brass ring. She smashed through that glass ceiling. I've never felt that with her, ever.
We'll just have to see. The best thing that could happen to her is for her to lose. If they were not ready to pull the trigger on any other women's storylines, I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother me to waste a Royal Rumble slot because you can still have a great match with an okay outcome, even if you have no intention of putting the title on somebody.
Mhm.
You know, we saw that with Cody Rhodes. I mean, he won the Rumble 2 years in a row. The first one, we essentially threw it away. Maybe he was going to win it. They've talked like he was going to win it, but maybe that was never the plan.
Yeah.
And so she needs, if she's that dominant and she is who she says she is, the title is irrelevant at this point.
Bingo.
And again, I'm not saying you should not try to win the Royal Rumble because that's dumb. But I would confidently say this is the first time that I have doubted the Paul Levesque era.
In that,
and
she's a leftover, really. She's a leftover from Vince. That it's like the story just continued when she got back.
Yeah, it wasn't repackaged or anything. It
Nothing.
was just Charlotte Flair, and honestly, in a way, it might have been worse. She was dressed like Seth Rollins. She way too skinny, like just not looking the part for me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I think we should continue that because I mean, I'd love to get your feedback. You're listening, you're watching right now. Leave a comment. What are your thoughts on Charlotte? And listen, you don't have to agree with us. You don't need to bash anybody. We're talking about the character, Charlotte Flair. Do you like her? Do you think she's where she should be? Is she the GOAT in your mind? And if she is, explain why. Give us like 2 or 3 points on why you think she is the GOAT. And if you agree with Michael and I, tell us why you agree with us. And we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment on this episode or head over to WrestleChat podcast.com. I want to talk about some surprises. It was really cool to see Alexa Bliss and kind of be a nice little jab to the dirt sheets, who all insisted that they were so far apart she would never be able to sign, especially in time for the Royal Rumble. We may never see her in WWE again. Michael Cole even brought that up during. He's like, "Oh, the internet said she wasn't coming back." I like that. And then we got to the back and the post show, and even Triple H said something about it, saying that they all think they know, and none of them know.
Yeah,
I love that. So good. AJ Styles returned. It's cool to see him again. And obviously it wasn't as big as the first pop that he had when he first came to WWE, surprised everybody at the Royal Rumble. But this one felt good because I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Yeah. There was some rumors circulating that this was a challenging injury for him. Man, anytime AJ Styles shows up, it's like a breath of fresh air in the room, man.
Yeah.
What else do you say? He's phenomenal.
Speaking of a breath of fresh air, say his name and he appears, Joe Hendry, walking out with the TNA World Championship title around his waist. And who eliminates him? Roman Reigns. That's a big deal. Anybody could have grabbed him by the back of the tights and the neck and tossed him over the top rope. But no, it was the best in the business right now, Roman Reigns.
And dude, I'll tell you, I was so thrilled when I saw that because human nature is I'm going to protect me before I protect you.
Yeah.
Granted, there's always exceptions to that just by the good nature of people. But, WWE could easily be like, hey, TNA, like, we're stoked to be in partnership with you. We think this is going to be beneficial, but, know your role and shut your mouth because we're WWE, you're TNA.
Yeah.
For them to honor the TNA champion by having Roman Reigns do it, even if TNA said, no, we have to have it this way and WWE caved, it doesn't matter. The fact is that it happened and it felt mutually respectful for both companies. You
Agreed.
believe that Roman Reigns could throw out Joe Hendry, but at the same time, because Roman Reigns is throwing out Joe Hendry, and I don't mean this as anything against Joe, because he is the champion of a very large promotion. It puts Joe Hendry and TNA over by Roman Reigns doing that.
Yeah, agreed.
And so I noticed that the same as you did, and I was just so thrilled because that gives hope for what we're going to see in the future, both directions.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. Speaking of fun to watch, Ariel Helwani does a fantastic interview every time he's on. Well, I think literally the day after the Royal Rumble, he interviewed Joe Hendry. Joe went to New York bought his own ticket, went up there so he could be there with him in person. And he said, I believe before this year is up, I will wrestle John Cena.
Wow.
So I'm excited to see where that goes, not only for Joe, but for WWE, John Cena, and TNA altogether. Everybody wins from all of this. Yeah. Cody and Kevin was an interesting match during the Royal Rumble. I say interesting because, I always anticipate the latter matches being brutal. Man, wow, this one kind of exceeded it without, a lot of outside interference and different things like that. We saw Sami come down, checking on his friend, but there wasn't any interference from that point. I almost kind of wondered why Sami was there, which actually ends up paying off when you see what happens on Monday. Of course, we're rolling back to Saturday with the Royal Rumble, but I kind of got a little taste of what it might look like if Cody Rhodes was a heel. And that is, after beating the guy and throwing him through a ladder, he's busted open. He's laying there bleeding. He stands on top of the announcer's desk with his title raised up, staring at him. And they, of course, get the shot of the camera looking up past Kevin Owens, blood running down his face with Cody in the background grimacing. That looked like a heel Cody for a hot second. Did you notice the same thing?
It didn't resonate with me as much. I think everything you're saying is correct. It didn't hit me as much because I think it was veiled a little bit.
I agree.
In the fact that it was more of a grudge match type thing. Yes, it was for the championship, but that's not really what the match was about. And we talked about that in recent weeks. This was an issue that two guys who were in the same workplace that are doing things about it, or each of them is doing things the other doesn't agree with.
Yeah.
And I think it was a grudge match. So I think it makes a little more sense for Cody to behave that way because it's not a street fight, but he won the street fight in the grudge match,
Right.
And so to me, I think it does show shades, but I don't think this was the complete overt, heel tendency.
No.
For Cody, but commenting, just a little hint, but commenting on the match in general, I feel like that was one of them. It was so well done because there wasn't that many big spots. Yeah. There was, and even the spots that did happen within the wrestling context were fairly safe as far as that type of thing can go without being safe. And it was really nice to have what felt like this brutal match that I didn't have guilt afterwards that some poor soul ended their career for my benefit over the course of 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
Very true.
It was a very well done match where I think the guys, they're beat up, but I don't feel like I wasn't missing any shock and awe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So really good job by both guys overall. Yeah.
Awesome show. And I think if you notice where the lack of a plus, for me at least, it came from the Charlotte part of the show. We'd love to hear from you though. Drop a comment on this episode if you're watching on YouTube right now, or even on Spotify. You can listen on Spotify. You can also leave a comment on there as well, or you could drop us a note on our Instagram, WrestleChat Podcast. We'd love to connect with you and hear what you think as well. We'll share them next week here on the podcast. We are definitely now on the road to WrestleMania, just a few weeks away. However, I was disappointed today because I realized that WrestleMania is on Easter weekend. Bunch of heathens. Would love it if it was. Nobody looked at the calendar. Clearly I didn't, but I wasn't the one setting it up. But we'll take it as it comes. Yes, I had big plans of going to Cosm and doing the whole deal, and it's hard to do when your whole family's sitting here with Bibles and Easter baskets ready to go to church. And okay, sorry, Daddy's playing wrestling in Dallas at Cosm.
If this was a sitcom, we would have had a cutaway just now to your whole family standing by the front door in their church best and you round the corner with a title belt in your Roman Reigns t-shirt.
Ready to go. Right.
Wait, what are you guys doing?
Just because I don't have the footage yet doesn't mean that's not what's going to happen. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Let's see you next week. If you're not following us, follow us, and let's talk wrestling all the way up to WrestleMania and beyond. For Michael Glavin, I'm the Ant-Man. We'll see you next week.